Logan, America. Recently, Colorado State Senator Jesse Ulibarri, and I apologize if I'm mispronouncing this, has stated that Colorado citizens do not, in fact, need firearms to defend themselves. Do a safety check of the weapon. Magazine is empty. Firearm is empty. Firearm is safe, will be treated as such. He instead called not for firearms in the defense of Colorado citizens, but instead stated there are alternate means to defend yourself from a shooter. He stated that, quote unquote, you are perfectly capable of defending yourself with a ballpoint pen. While it is true, you can defend yourself with a ballpoint pen, this is what would be considered an improvised weapon. Why he believes that this instrument, this tool, is a far better defense instrument than one that is actually designed for the defense of its owner is beyond me. I can only ascertain that he believes this for a scant few reasons. Number one, this man is delusional and believes that the citizens of Colorado, we the people, the free and responsible firearms owning community, live in a very Bastille and prison-like existence. This is not the case. Criminals use items such as this in prison because these are readily available. This is all that is readily available. And I'm fairly certain, given his aggressive attack against us who support the Second Amendment, and in fact support all of our amendments and all of our freedoms, I am left to assume that this is not the case for the simple fact that if he genuinely was that delusional, then he would not have the mental capacity to even run for office, let alone be elected to a senatorial seat within the state of Colorado. This leads me to believe that, yet again, a politician believes himself above the standard citizenry and has given forth a let them eat cake mentality. This poses a severe problem. In reality, if given the choice of defending myself from an attacker, I'm not choosing this. There are a few items that come with me every day, no matter what I do. This is one. This is one. I would far sooner use this as an implement for my own self-defense than I would use this. And I'm fairly certain any civilian would, for the simple fact of this is like using an ice pick. There are two types of people who will succeed in using this for their self-defense. Number one, a person disposed of such savagery that they make a psychotic case locked away in our worst prisons seem like Martha Stewart. Or number two, which is more likely, a trained professional. Someone who knows exactly where to strike. Even then, a trained professional will tell you this, while usable, is not an adequate self-defense tool. I teach self-defense, both martial arts and firearms usage, unarmed and armed combat. The reasons I teach these forms are to ensure that any student I take upon has the tools necessary to survive. Having a gun, be you trained police, military, or civilian, makes you a combatant every bit as much as a person owning a piano, trained or untrained, makes them a musician. You can possess the tools, but without proper training, you're only halfway there. The reason I bring this up is Senator Ulibarri is one of the major contenders recently in the anti-Second Amendment coalition. Their crux of this fight in his home state of Colorado is not based off of this, even though this is on the list. Their main fight is for this. This is an AR-15 magazine. This particular model is known as a PMAG. It is made by Magpul Industries out of Colorado, Boulder, Colorado to be precise. This is the de facto standard for civilian sport shooting, civilian self-defense, police defense, and military defense. He has introduced, and he and his allies have introduced a bill which is due to come to office as of me recording this, that requires that any magazine such as this, made within the state of Boulder, Colorado, be forcibly marked with a serial number and date code. It also bans the use of standard capacity magazines such as this 30 rounder meant to be used in an AR-15, from being produced within the state of Colorado for civilian sale. Recently, Magpul has announced if they cannot win against this bill, that they will be forced to shut down their Colorado base of operations and move. This puts an incredible strain on an already stretched, very thin industry. As stated, this is the de facto standard for military, police, and civilian firearms magazines. It is reliable, it is dependable. Before this chaos, it was generally inexpensive, and being the standard, this is the bar that is set for 30 round AR-15 magazines. In his actions, senators such as Jesse Ulibarri wish to weaken the defense of our nation for not only our police and military, but our civilians. He attacks this openly through a bill. He attacks this through his argument for the ballpoint pen. This whole ideal of limiting one's means to self-defense is not only unconstitutional, it's morally reprehensible. We must recognize it as such and call it forth as such. We must be willing to fight it under any circumstance. Folks, if this bill does pass within the state of Colorado, the industry will be weakened, jobs will be lost. Colorado as a whole will lose, actually, from Magpul Industries themselves, 200 jobs. Now that doesn't sound like a lot, but understand, that's merely the manufacturers of this magazine. The vendors within the state of Colorado number much more than that mere 200 manufacturers. That will equal out to thousands of jobs lost, and a market left barren. And not just in the defense industry, but in Colorado's local industry. It will be left with a large gap in it. With thousands fired out of the workforce by the stroke of a pen within the state of Colorado, their crime and homelessness will go up. Their violence rates will go up. And no amount of legislation on ballpoint pens or advice given on ballpoint pens will fix that problem. It will take a job market that is on the mend, and it will take good police work. And yet again, we are back to, when it comes to good police work, we are back to the tools of the trade. We are exactly back to this and this. These two items help back the badge. Ladies and gentlemen, AR-15 magazines are getting less and less common nowadays due to market demand and inability to keep up with that demand. These are hard times, but this is one of the few times I'm going to ask you, the American people, and I'm going to throw myself into this lot, because I am an American citizen and I am proud to say that I am. This is our fight for Colorado. If you know anyone in Colorado, have them start writing, calling, emailing the senators. Keep those lines clogged. For those of us outside of the state of Colorado, continue to do the same. Write, call, and email every senator you can, every congressman you can. As always, I will provide the links down below so that you may contact your elected officials, including and not limited to our president himself. I ask of one major thing beyond understanding and communicating with our elected officials. Those that we give power. For remember, we give them power and freedom, not the other way around. I ask of you, the American people, and I too will do this. If you know anyone within the state of Colorado, you're going to have to dig deep. Start purchasing good magazines such as the PMag and send them to your friends, family, and loved ones within the state of Colorado. We can fight this bill on both the legal jurisdiction and by showing the Colorado senators and congressmen who are part of the anti-gun coalition that their bill is completely and utterly unenforceable. If we flood their state with these magazines, what I hold in my very hand, then they cannot have the ability to jurisdict this away. If these become as common as possible within that state, which they were at one time thanks to Magpul Industries, then we have won. We have won by what is called nullification. Nullification basically is when a law becomes unenforceable. If I was a law enforcement officer and I could not keep track of all of these and I could not confiscate those which are out there legally, I cannot enforce that law. So that law is effectively nullified. We must nullify this law in both writing, calling, and sending the actual product to the state of Colorado. Their cutoff date, if this bill should pass, is July 1st. We need to do absolutely everything within our power to ensure this bill does not pass. And if it does pass, despite our best efforts, we must do everything within our power to ensure that plenty of these reach responsible citizens within the state of Colorado. The state of Colorado is mostly rural. It does have cities such as Boulder, which are rather large, but the majority of Colorado is rural. If we can continue to nullify this bill in both legal writing and through our actions, then we will have won this battle. This is one of many battles, but if we treat them all with the same degree of fervor and the same degree of dedication, we can and will win. I thank you for watching, and as always, stay positive, America. I will see you later.